Once upon a time, there was a land where gods and men lived together, side by side. They spoke to each other, they debated, went to war together, transformed into rivers when they wished, unleashed the dance of destruction, carried mountains across countries, and kidnapped women. They were kings, they were gods too. They were scholars, they were devils too. Welcome to India. Indian history is fun and frustrating because at what point the mythical world coincides with the real world is hard to tell. And it's also hard to tell what's myth and what's real. This leads me to dates. They are, as expected, under much debate, so don't get hungover on the dates I'm going to mention in this video. We know that humans have lived in the Indian subcontinent since more than 100,000 years, but modern kind of humans have been there since about 60 to 70,000 years. The earliest records of an actual settled farming society in the Indian subcontinent are found at the site of Bhirrana, dating back to 8000 BC. And then the Mehrgarh site, which is slightly newer than that. But these are still older than the Egyptian and Mesopotamian civilizations and the Indus Valley civilization. Yeah, the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro sites. From the world of Bhirrana and Mehrgarh, we are left with some heartwarming artifacts like copper and terracotta bangles, a copper arrowhead, beads of carnelian, bull figurines, rattles, wheels, pottery and sling balls. These sites had a nice city layout with fortification and proper streets with lanes and bylanes and stuff. And then came the famed Bronze Age societies of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. The cities of the Indus Valley civilizations are smartly laid out in a grid system, much like our modern cities, with some streets and homes laid out to orient the wind flow to cool down hot summer temperatures. Their houses were made of standard baked bricks. They had public baths and massive granaries. The Indus Valley civilization had a fast trade network with Mesopotamia. They did farming and their diet included, depending on their local region, fish, barley, rice, millets and milk and other dairy stuff. They had domesticated animals as well, like sheep and goats. Maybe they did have a religion, maybe they didn't, we're not sure. Although out of the figurines found from the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro sites, there is this Pashupati seal that kinda resembles the Hindu god Shiva. One of the coolest things about the Indus Valley civilization is that no weapons have been found in excavation. Seems like they were peaceful people. Between 1500 and 1200 BC, the Indus Valley civilization came to an end, and there are many theories about why and how. One of the widely accepted theories are natural causes like decrease in the soil quality and less rains over a period, which caused the Indus Valley civilization to die out. And then starts the legendary Vedic Age of India. The one that is so smart and deep and impressive. It starts with the arrival of the Aryans on the scene. More on that story, click here or in the description below. Aryans wrote the Vedas in Sanskrit language, but for the first couple of generations, it was actually transferred down verbally, very precisely and accurately. You might assume the Aryans too would have perfected the urban city layout of the Harappans, but actually they hadn't. Aryans did agriculture, but they were still semi-nomadic, pastoral kind of people. Their houses were not of baked brick, like those of the Harappans, but rather of wood, bamboo and mud. They lived in small tribes called Jana, and their chief was called Raja, which eventually came to be the word for king. One of the earliest known such chiefs is Manu Vivaswata. The Vedic age started out in the Punjab region, and around 1200 BC, it slowly spread eastward onto the Gangetic plain, and they started establishing bigger towns and kingdoms. A very interesting thing about the Aryans and Vedic culture is that we have found no temples. They worshipped nature. The sun, the wind, the rivers, the rain, the dawn, the dusk, and very importantly, Agni, the fire. The origins of the Hindu caste system or the Jati Varna system can be traced back to the Vedas. It started out as a division of labor, and you were free to choose any profession, as this brother Rishi tells us in Rig Veda, Book 9, Hymn 112, verse 3. But in the Vedic times, it had not yet taken the exploitative form that it eventually took from early medieval times onwards. The Aryans loved to drink soma. By all accounts, it was an intoxicating drink, but was also widely used for religious rituals. Interestingly enough, Zoroastrianism also has it. But sadly, we've lost its recipe. So we'll have to make do with these. The word Veda means knowledge, and there are 4 Vedas. Rig Veda, which means Veda of hymns. It has 102 hymns divided into 10 books or mandalas. The Sam Veda means Veda of chants, and it's meant to be sung or chanted. Yajur Veda means the Veda of sacrificial worship methods. It is divided into the black Yajur Veda, Krishna, and the white Yajur Veda, Shukla. The 4th, the Atharva Veda, is named after the family of the Atharvan priests. After the Vedic age came the Brahmana period, in which the Brahmanas, the Upanishads, and the Sutras were written. And then were written the Puranas. And then came the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, the longest epics ever written on this planet. The major concept Vedic literature introduced were these. They talk about the supreme knowledge of the Absolute and our union with it. Vedic knowledge is like inception. You know something is very right there, and you pretend you get it. But with all of this, the Vedic age might sound like a nice, peaceful time, but actually it was not. It was a time of military conflicts between Aryans and non-Aryans, and also between Aryan tribes. Rig Veda tells us of such conflicts, and also that rishis were warriors in not so peaceful times. The Vedic Age of India ended between 600 to 300 BC, and a very essential thing that marks it is the rise of Buddhism and Jainism, which challenged Vedic orthodoxy, especially the caste system. It also saw the origin of the Brahmi writing. This was the time when Alexander the Great came to India, and to know what happened then, you should click right here. And if you want to know more about the rise of Buddhism and Jainism and what happened in India after that, click subscribe and the bell icon so you're notified when I make that video next.